My first bust is Kristaps Porzingis of Ken's Boston Celtics, who has an ADP of 43.7. Before the holiday trade, I already thought he was sketchy in this range. During Porzingis's 2 full years in Dallas, where he was the number 2 option behind Luka, he ranked 36th and then 40th in per game value. Now he's option 3A-ish with Holiday, 3rd option at best. And he's starting the season with plantar fasciitis, which is notoriously difficult to shake throughout the season. For me, Porzingis is someone to draft in the 55 plus range. I'm surprised people are drafting him this high.
Alex, I agree with you, oddly enough. The one exception would be 2 center leagues. Pickens gets slim, gonna put Porzingis in the 40s for 2 center leagues, but I think all those concerns are legit. We don't know how this offense is gonna work. A lot of things have changed. Certainly Tatum and Brown have to get fed first.
Who is your first bust?
First, let me say, fans, if you enjoy this video and love fantasy basketball, please click the like and subscribe buttons below. That said, my first bust is Josh Giddey, the tall guard for your Oklahoma City Thunder. He's got an ADP of 52. On average, as strong as 45. Now, look, this is not a math evaluation. This is an eye test prediction. OKC now has talent in the paint, and Giddey's outside shooting is poor. He shot 32.5% behind the arc last year. His true shooting percentage of 53.3% is only in the 30th percentile of NBA players, and he's a poor free throw shooter. Chet Holmgren and Jaylen Williams deserve room to operate. Jaylen Williams, great sleeper, by the way. And we finally should get a 70-plus game season from SGA. He's the star on this team and needs the ball in his hands. The days of tanking and resting SGA should be over. Back to Giddey, his 3 turnovers a game are also bad for 9 category, and for a guy who drives to the bucket, he doesn't draw that many fouls. He only took 1.9 free throw attempts a game last year. Finally, number 10 pick, Kentucky product, Casey Wallace is looming. Wallace had a better true shooting percentage as a 19-year-old at Kentucky last year. I just don't like Giddey at those ADPs.
Shannon.
My first bust, Jalen Green's one that I'm worried about, and it's primarily due to the Rockets roster construction. Green right now has an ADP of 80, 81. There's a lot of mouths to feed. This is one of the tougher rotations to project out from a minute standpoint, and there's a good chance Jalen Green could lead this team in scoring. He's coming off a good, strong finish to the season last year. He averaged 22.1 points, but there isn't much production elsewhere. He does hit 3-pointers, but he's not great from downtown. The 41.7% from the floor is not ideal for a top 70, top 80 pick. Unless he picks up in some of those secondary counting stats, I think he's going to be hard pressed to provide top 75 value this season.
My second bust this season, Anthony Davis, who has an ADP of 12. He was great last season per game, ranked 7th, but I also don't anticipate him getting any better.
And get younger.
3 years ago, he ranked 30th. 2 years ago, he ranked 16th. Let's say you think he has upside to be 7th overall again. If you believe that, I still think the injury risk should push him past 12.
Are we supposed to get excited that he played 56 games last year? No.
The Lakers also have more help than ever offensively. He doesn't need to save them all the time. Some of this will depend on how healthy LeBron is, yes, but you also have Austin Reeves who's going to step up. D'Lo takes on some usage, Hachimura. For me, Anthony Davis is firmly a second-round guy. I think he's being taken at 12 because people don't view other players behind him as having first-round upside. They've seen Anthony Davis do it before. It's in the numbers, and he kind of represents this cutoff point between the truly elite fantasy talents and Donovan Mitchell and Domantas Sabonis. But I still think some of those guys are safer picks in that range, and for some builds just make more sense.
Game count. You got to play. 56 games last year, 40 games the year before, 36 the year before that. He's brittle. He's street clothes. He's balsa wood.
In defense of Anthony Davis, in that 12, 13 range, if he does manage to play 75 games, could be the number 1 overall fantasy player.
Huge if.
Yeah, I think top 5 is definitely within his range. Ken, who's your number 2 bust?
Guys, as you know, on this pod, it's my job to rep the old school. If you're in a 9 category old school roto league, Luka Doncic is overrated. His ADP is 3. This is just a math question. In 9-category roto league, he is not a first-round pick in this format. He's got 3.6 turnovers per game. For 5 seasons, he's had a low free throw percentage, just under 74% career free throw percentage at a high volume. He shot 10.5 free throw attempts per game last year. Also for 5 seasons, he's consistently averaged 66 games played per season. He's been in the 60s each of the last 4 seasons. And last year, for 9-category roto, Luka ranked 15th for total stats, not 3rd. Add a full season of selfish Kyrie Irving play, and that could get worse. So if you're an old man league, Luka Doncic is a second-round pick.
All right, my second bust, Paolo Banchero. Here's a sophomore that I'm not too high on. Great rookie season, averaged 20 points, 6.9 rebounds, 3.6 assists. Rookie of the year. Fantastic player. I worry about a couple things with Banchero. Not a great rebounder, 6.9 his rookie season. Not great on the defensive end, averaged 1.3 stocks, 1.2 three-pointers, but he also shot 42.7% from the floor, 73.8% from the free throw line. This is a deep roster. I expect Banchero to be solid, but his ADP is just insane to me. He's going 45 on average. If you can get him in 55 to 60 range, I think he's a solid player there. I'm steering clear of Banchero in most formats.
Give me Bane any day of the week in that position.
My third bust this season, Kyrie Irving. I honestly was surprised that he is being drafted with an ADP of 13 on Yahoo. He's been a top 15 player for each of the past 6 seasons, but in total production has cracked the top 15 twice in his entire career. One of those times was 2014-15, almost an entire decade ago. He's entering his age 31 season, not getting any younger. You combine that with pairing up with Luka Doncic. I'm not drafting Kyrie unless he falls to like the 3rd round.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. My last bust is 35-year-old Kevin Durant. He's averaged 46 games played over the past 3 seasons. Yes, his per-game numbers are great, but who cares if he doesn't play? His last 2 injuries were huge. A torn Achilles and a sprained MCL. These are serious injuries that are hard to recover from. Slap the Fragile sticker on KD and take Dame Lillard, Sabonis, or Ant-Man instead.
Yeah, it's getting tough to draft him.
My final bust, Victor Wembanyama, the rookie for the San Antonio Spurs. I love him as a talent. Long-term, he's going to be a fantasy darling, but with his current ADP, I am avoiding Wemby. He is currently being drafted on average 25. I can't invest in him there. Defensive stats are going to be fantastic, but for a top 30 pick, the price is just too steep for me. There's going to be too many big men who will have similar production and not have as many risks as Wemby. There's plenty of guys who you can get blocks and rebounds from later in the draft that are a lot less risky.
I'm with you, Shannon. If you told me he was going to play 70 games and that he'd play 32, 33 minutes a game, I'd take him at 30. He has Defensive Player of the Year numbers upside, and that alone pushes him in that range, but there's still too many questions.
Well, thank you for watching and or listening to today's preseason fantasy podcast. This 3-car fantasy train wreck has hit the end of the line.